Greetings, grade 5s. Lovely to have you with us for another maths lesson. We've looked at area and perimeter in the last, perimeter and then area in the last two lessons. And today we're going to look at volume. We'll touch on capacity and the difference between volume and capacity, but yeah, the main thrust of what we're doing is looking at volume and counting volume, finding it out. Whoops, wrong one. We'll get to that now. As always, the reminders at the start of the lesson. I'm Mr. T, Mr. Travis. You can email me. The email address is grade5@worksheetcloud.com. After the lesson, click on the link above the video, do the worksheet, and make sure that you've mastered what it is that we do in this lesson. And if not, you can always watch the lesson again. The next slide is your mental arithmetic for the day. 10 problems, 40 seconds. You just need to write the answer. This is to get you to speed up, but most importantly, be accurate. And go. Halfway there. And stop. I hope you finished them all. If not, it's just about practice. But most important, be right, then be quick. 9 minus 7 is 2. 12 minus 3 is 9. 15 minus 8 is 7. 14 minus 6 is 8. 12 minus 11 is 1. 15 minus 13 is 2. 11 minus 5 is 6. 15 minus 12 is 3. 10 minus 4 is 6. 11 minus 8 is 3. If you missed any of those, just rewind the video. Pardon me. Go back, watch it again, get it. Some of you may be improving. That's awesome. If you're not improving, you need to practice a little bit. Maybe get mom or dad to write down a few every day, just so that you can practice it. If you are getting them all right, then it's time to get quicker. So if you are normally getting 10 out of 10, then see if you can get 10 out of 10 in 35 seconds instead of 40. And if you can manage it in 35 seconds, try for 30 seconds. Yeah, so first accuracy, then speed. Right, this one is fairly straightforward. It's different. There's no tricks like so where sometimes you've got 2 flowers in the one and 1 in the next. This one's straightforward. We've done a few of them now, so I'm going to leave you some time, maybe a minute, to see if you can work out what the question mark answer will be, and then I will go through it. In the meantime, I'm going to switch across to the whiteboard. You'll be able to see it there. All right, that's as long as I can wait. I'm just not patient enough. If you'd like more time, just pause it. Or if at any point, like if I've solved one line and you figured out what one of them is, you can always pause the video and see what the next one is. So you can do it step by step. So we always start with a line where we've got 3 things that are the same, or that's normally the line we will use to start. Because if it's the same, then we can use that to figure out what the clover is. So I've got 3 things, and each of them is the same, and they come to 12. So what I've got to do is share that 12 out to make up those 3 things. So if I share 3 into 12, it gets me 4 each, which leaves us with the understanding that the value of each of the clovers is 4, which means that for every clover we see, we can put a 4. Next, I will look at the second line. I have to get to a total of 16. I already have 8, what do I still need to get to 16? Well, 6. I had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I needed another 8. And so that tells us that the pot of gold is 8. Right, so the next line, we've got to figure out 8 times what will give me 40. So you can count in 8s till you get to 40. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. That's 5 8s. And so now we know that the flour is worth 5. So we can put that there. And if we go 5 times 4, we can work out that the question mark is 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, I hope you got it. I hope you can see that. It's a little bit faint on the screen, but there we go. Okay, so that's that for today. Let's jump back onto the lesson and see what today's lesson's about. So volume, I mentioned before. So our goals for today's lesson: understand what volume is, understand the difference between volume and capacity. Come to that now. Be able to work out the volume by counting. So like with area, where we first counted, like in grade 4, we counted the squares to find out what the area was, and then we got the formula and we could work it out. This year, the grade 5s, you will find out volume by counting blocks, but I am going to introduce you at the end to what the formula of a volume is. It's quite logical, does take a little while, but for grade 5s, you really just need to be able to count to find it. So this is a little bit of a visual spatial thing. You've got to think about it carefully. You've got to use your brains. You've got to be able to turn something in your mind. It takes a bit of practice, but I think that we'll get there. Okay, so capacity is how much stuff a container can hold. So if you look at the box, the capacity is the amount of space inside the box, what can fit in the box. The amount of space. The capacity of the jug is how much can fit in a jug. Volume is how much space an object takes up. So of course it must be a 3D object, otherwise it's not really an object, it's more like a shape. So you could, for example, have a rock. So a rock takes up a certain amount of space, and the space it takes up is called its volume. I've put a box in here as well because the box has a volume too. The whole box together takes up a certain amount of space. There is a space inside the box. So a box has capacity, which is how much can fit inside it, and it has volume, which is how much space it takes up. So just be careful of that. There is possibility that an object can have volume and capacity. But just a reminder, capacity is what can fit inside. So this teacup has a capacity. Very nice cup of tea. My phone, for example, doesn't have a capacity. It just has a volume because there's not a space inside it where I can put things. Okay. This is the way that we're going to do it for now, the volume that I'm talking about. So when counting the blocks, we have to count the ones we may not be able to see as well. So I'll start with the ones on the left, for example. So it's probably easier to do this on the whiteboard, but I'll start over here. So this corner block here, this face and this face or side and this side are all part of the same block. So that's one block. Then we have another one over here, which there's its side and there's its top. And another one over there, there's its side and there's its side and there's its top. So there's 3 there, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12. So the volume, the volume of this shape is 12 blocks. Now, when I say you have to count the ones that you can't see either, if we look at this one over here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top. And we can see 3 of the ones that are on the bottom. But we also have to assume that there's one at the back at the bottom, so that, in fact, the bottom level looks exactly like the top level. So we assume that it looks the same. So we would say the volume of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That has a volume of 8 blocks. Over here, we can count them. 1 over here. Let's count by layers. So I'm going to count the bottom layer first, and then I'm going to move up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's also one that's going to be hidden behind here. So it's directly under this one, but on the bottom level. Okay, so 5 on the bottom level, 1, 2, 3 on the next level. So again, there's one underneath this one. So underneath this one, and on the same level as these two. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So the volume of this is 9 blocks, or 9 cubes. Over here, we have another one. So we'll start at the top because we can see the ones on top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 on the top level. Let's see how many there are on the next level. Well, there's the same 6 that were over there, and then there's another 2 that are over here. So 7, 8. Okay, so there's 8 on this middle level, and because there's 8 on the middle level and it matches up to the bottom, we can say there's 8 on the bottom level too. So 8 and another 8 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So this has a volume of 22 blocks. Okay, jumping over to the whiteboard so that we can have a look at some. This might make things a little bit easier. Let me make it a bit bigger. So when I'm explaining about the ones that you can't see. Right, so you can see that this block over here, or this cuboid, it gets broken up into its different levels. So this is the top level. This is the next level. That's the next level. And that's the bottom level. And you can see that although you can't see them, these other blocks are also there as part of that level. All right, so just to go over something that I tried to demonstrate when I just had a pointer, it's easier when I can color it in. This block on the corner, that's the same block. It's just 3 sides of the same block, so be careful not to count that twice. That's another one. We can only see its side and its top. We can see it's this one's side and top, and we can see this one's side and top. There are some, like for example this one, where we can only see its front side. There are some like this one where we can see 2 of its sides, like that. There's some where we can just see the top. Right, so there's a whole lot there, and this block, this thing, is not hollow. As you can see from where it's been cut apart into its different levels, each of those levels is solid. In fact, then this does lead towards the formulas that we learned at the end of the lesson. What I do when I'm working the side is I count 1 layer and then I count in layers. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So the top level is 20 blocks. And that top level is exactly the same as the second level. So that'll be 20. Exactly the same as the next level, which will also be 20. Exactly the same as the next level, which will also be 20. And so what I do when I'm working these out is I just say, okay, well, there's 4 layers of 20. So that's 80. So the volume of this shape is 80. Let's do a nice equals, is 80 blocks. Some people will call it cubes, which is probably a better word for it, but it doesn't matter. 80 blocks or 80 cubes, that's its volume. Okay, I'll show you the next thing I want to show with the next example, which is just down here. All right, so remember when we had a length that could be 6 centimeters long, and our unit was centimeters. And then we had an area, and that had a measurement this way, and it had a measurement this way, centimeters, centimeters. And so we called the unit for this centimeters squared. because there were 2 dimensions that we were looking at. You're not going to use these units yet, but I think it's important that you know about them. If I look at this one, it's got a measurement up and down. It's got a measurement from side to side, and it's got a measurement from front to back. So it's got 3 measurements, and in fact we talk about cubic units, and that's just because there's 3. So that's a cool thing to bank in your mind for a later time. But we're just going to count them. Oopsie. Let's work out the volume of this cube over here. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top level, 1, 2, 3, and the one at the back that's hidden, 4 at the bottom level. 4 and 4 is 8. So the volume of this is equal to 8 cubes. Next one. We're getting to bigger shapes now. All right. Again, as long as you don't get confused that this and this and this is all part of the same block and just showing on 2 levels, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count just the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 on the top level. So 9 on that level, 9 on that level, 9 on that level, which makes the volume equal to 27 cubes. Your teacher might say blocks. I don't mind. Whatever your teacher says you can use. Later on we use proper units anyway. This one's a bit blurry, but I think we can do it anyway. I'm going to do it slightly differently this time. I'm going to count the front, and then I'm going to look at how many layers we have going backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we've got 20 for the first row. Sorry, let the first slice from top to bottom. Then there's a second slice, which will also be 20. And there's a slice at the back, which will also be 20. And so this is equal, the volume of this is equal to 60 cubes. If I had chosen to do it the other way, and I'd counted on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then my top slice is 12. My next slice is also 12. My next slice is 12. My next slice is 12. And my last slice is 12. And if I add all of those up, I get 60. So it doesn't matter which way you go, as long as you do a logical order and you get all of them together. Now we come to one like this, where it's not the same on each level. And then we've got to use our brains a little bit more. So first of all, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 on the top level. Now beneath those 6 are another 6. We can only see 2 of them, but all of them are there. So 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom, but we haven't yet counted those ones on that side. So now we've got to add those in. So that's 1, 2, 3. So 3, 6 plus 6 plus 3. Mental arithmetic. 6 and 6 is 12 plus 3 is 13. So the volume of this friend here is 15. 6 and 6 is 12 is 15. 15 cubes. And we move on to another one. So for this one, it looks easiest to me if we count levels and then we add the one that's sitting on the top. So I can see that there's 3 here, plus the one that's underneath there will make it 4, so that that level's 4. Next level is also 4. Next level is also 4. And then we got the 1 on top. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 13. So the volume is equal to 13 cubes. Let's have a look at the next one. We've got 3 to go. So this one's a bit difficult because all of the levels are quite different. But let's start off with just a little bit of logic. So 1, 2, 3, 4. on the top level. We've got the 4 that are underneath the pink ones on the second level as well. And then we've got these extra 3. So we've got the 4 underneath there, 5, 6, and 7. We can actually see the one of them, but we'll count on the top of the square, so we won't count that. So we've got 4 on the top. We've got the same 4 underneath those 4, plus these extra 3 makes 7 on the next level. And on the bottom level, we've got the 7 that we can see on level 2 and another 2. So that makes 9. Now when we add them together, 4 plus 7 is 11, plus 9 is 20. Sorry, the volume is equal to 20 cubes. Right, I hope that you're starting to get the hang of this. You see what I mean by you have to be a little bit of a detective and figure out what are the ones that you can't see. Okay, looking at this one. Well, this one's the same on the bottom 2 layers, and then the top layer or top level is a little bit different. So let's first of all look at the top layer. Well, that's got 2 on the top layer. The middle layer has those same 2, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4. So the middle layer has got 6, and the bottom layer is the same, so we'll also have 6. If we add those 3 together, 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 6 is 14, so the volume is equal to 14 cubes. The last one to look at like this, before we look at one with a formula. All right, well, this one to me looks like we've got this hollow area underneath here. So perhaps what we're going to do is we're going to slice it into front and then back, like that. So let me count the front first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the front is 12. The back's the same, so the back will be 12. And that means the volume of this character is 24 cubes. Right, I'm going to go back and have a look at this one over here. All right, when we worked out area, when we were using a formula and we didn't want to have to count all these little squares, what we did, that's terrible, I'm actually going to use a ruler to do that. Okay, so we, instead of counting all these little squares, I hope you remember this from the last lesson, we said, okay, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 over here. So our width, or the short side, is equal to 10. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 along there. That's our long side, or our length. And when we wanted to work out the area, what we did was we times the one by the other. So the area was equal to the length times the width. So 15 times 10. And the area was 150 squares or blocks. All right, so we had one measurement times by the other measurement. What's happening over here is that we're adding a third measurement. And so what we do here is we look to see what our third measurement is. I'm counting, and it goes 1. Oh, I've got to take my ruler off again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so it's 5 in depth. Okay. And what we can then do to find the volume is we can go the length times the width times the, and we can call this the depth, or If you did another way, it would be the height, but I'll call it the depth. But really, it's just the three things times each other. So 15 times by 10 times by 5, 150 times by 5, all right, so over here you can see what we did. We worked out the three things times each other, times them out, and we got 750 blocks or cubes. So I'm going to go look at this one over here. In fact, let's drag him out so he's not all bundled in with everything else. And let's have a look at him. So we have, if we're looking at the front to back measurement, we have 1, 2, 3. So that one was 3. If we look at the measure, oh, I'm still on the wrong color. If we look at this measurement here, it's 1, 2, 3. And if we look at the measurement that's this one, the height, it's also 3. So our volume is equal to 3 times 3 times 3. Volume equals 9 times 3. Volume equals 27 cubes. Right, so just putting the formula in, you don't need to know the formula in a grade 5 level, but we've got, well, in this case, it's edge times edge times edge, but let's just go length times width times height. So height is the yellow one, the one I'm talking about. And what I wanted to show you was that we'd worked out by counting, we got 27, and we can work out with our formula, which gives us 27. Counting seems a lot easier. Sorry, I moved over. There we go. That's what we worked out when we counted. That's what we worked out with a formula. And although counting might seem easier with a small shape like this, if you've got a really big shape, like with the area one, then it's much easier if you just times them together instead of having to work out all the bits and pieces. So that's volume. I hope that made sense. I felt like that made sense. Do the worksheet above, see if you've got it. You can always watch the lesson again. And if you're still struggling, you can email me. It's grade5@WorksheetCloud.com. I'm Mr. T. And I wish you a very pleasant day, grade 5s. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.